Hey now, good morning, everybody. It's the Rob from 106.1 KISS FM here with my tag team partner in podcasting, Big Daddy V himself. This is Ramblin' Jerry Valeri. Good morning, Jer.
Good morning. Is it a bird? No. Is it a plane? No. It's the man of steel, Rob. There he is.
What's going on?
Super Rob.
Hey, so if you may have noticed that the end of the video cut itself off yesterday.
It cut itself off at the perfect spot, I thought.
Yeah, well, I just want to apologize. It looked like the computer was up to its old tricks again. I'm going to give it another shot this way just because I love the way it sounds when it sounds good. And if for some reason it stops, we'll just keep recording the audio, Jer, and I'll upload that the hard way, okay?
Sounds good. Who's in the effing bear suit? And it was perfect.
In radio, that's called the out.
Yes, that was the punch. We hit the post.
So, all right, it looks like my computer's already, at least the internet connection is a little spotty, but whatever. If I have to leave it on you a little bit, there's certainly no harm in that.
Okay.
So watch SmackDown last night, the go-home show before what's it, Money in the Bank.
Yes.
Lots of takeaway, I guess a few takeaways. I didn't have a whole lot of thoughts watching the show last night. I will get started by saying I think Raw easily won the week. Do you agree with that, disagree with that?
I disagree.
Really?
And here's why I disagree. I didn't enjoy Raw, save a few moments. It was okay. I told you. I thought it fell down the stairs. I thought it was super high and then it fell down. I will say that Raw could probably be said to have the better show because of the beginning. It definitely had the best wrestling television you could watch this week in that first segment with Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar. It definitely, if you can only watch 30 minutes of wrestling all week, that's the 30 minutes you choose. Raw wins. But I think overall for a show, I enjoyed SmackDown. I thought the first segment was a little long, but they didn't focus too much on the women as much. They focused a little more on wrestling. I feel like I'm probably on an island here on Post to Post, but I thought I'm really digging Jinder Mahal. I don't love how they got him to where he is, but he's doing fine where he is. The show as a whole, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed SmackDown. There are little things that they're doing right that I really like. But again, the best wrestling television you're going to see was at the beginning of Raw. Without a doubt.
If I could maybe rearrange your words a little bit and mold what you're saying, are you saying that you kind of thought both shows were equal, but SmackDown was shorter and had less bad?
I mean, that's probably what it is. If you, Raw's always going to suffer in grading because they have more content that they've got to come up with, and I'm not letting them off the hook for that. They've got a 3-hour show, and I'm going to judge them up against SmackDown, who has a 2-hour show.
Well, I thought for sure, like in every way, I thought Raw won this week. Raw showed so much direction. Raw had things that progressed throughout the night. Every angle, for the most part, I felt had a move forward moment on Monday. And I feel like SmackDown this month is kind of what Raw was last month. SmackDown, I mean, really since we established that there was going to be a women's Money in the Bank ladder match, nothing has changed. Everything's just been a variation of there's the guy ladder match and you have those 6 guys and they're all doing different versions of inner working with each other. Same thing with the women. This is what Raw went through. Excuse me. This is what Raw went through last month leading up to the most recent pay-per-view. So I'm really firmly in the Raw side this week. And this is just, to me, was another example of more of the same, which it has been for the past 3 weeks on SmackDown. By the way, I feel like... Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to change topics. So if you want to talk about Raw versus SmackDown, go ahead.
I'll say this. SmackDown did exactly what it was supposed to do. So did Raw. Raw is moving things along, progressing storylines, and building hype for a pay-per-view that they have like 3 weeks from now. SmackDown did exactly what I think it was supposed to do last night, and it's different than what Raw did. Raw never made me excited for Extreme Rules. there were no matches that I was like clamoring to see or excited for the build of any kind. SmackDown did that for me. I'm ready to go. Me and the kids are fired up for Money in the Bank.
Hey,
they showcased everybody the right way. I thought it was I thought it was very good. I thought it was very good. And I love just a quick little small thing about SmackDown is I love Sami Zayn in a mixed in like a 6-man tag match anymore, because I like the promos where he tries to strategize with his teammates and they can't stand him. They're starting to overdo it a bit, but it's just a subtle little Sami Zayn thing that I actually enjoy. They're fleshing his character out a little bit. And if we're moving on from SmackDown altogether, I'd like to give you my line of the night because it was subtle, but it made me laugh out loud.
I just want to say I really disagree with your takeaway of SmackDown getting me excited for the pay-per-view and moving things along. Respectfully, I just disagree with that. That didn't happen for me.
It did me though.
Okay.
I think I'm enjoying SmackDown Live a lot because I think I'm enjoying some of their guys more than you are. I think that you're not into Jinder Mahal at all, and I'm starting to become into Jinder Mahal, which is good.
I want to make a statement
probably going to be a source of embarrassment for me down the road.
Oh, I'm gonna make a statement about Jinder later in the show. I have a statement about him that you'll want to hear.
Okay.
So there was that, but yeah, I just feel like, and this is another great example of why they should have less pay-per-views, is for the past I'll just say since WrestleMania, what they're always building for 2 different shows. One show's build is really strong. One show's build is really weak. I wish they'd kind of focus on one at a time. There's just too many pay-per-views. So,
well, I agree with the too many pay-per-views.
What was your line of the night?
Line of the night was so subtle, and it came during the Fashion Files, and of course it did.
Right.
And it's just leading into the intro, and Fandango, they'd won already, and he was like, and we were successful tonight. Wrong again, Dad.
I liked
I love those guys so much.
During their in-ring promo, which was definitely a stacked promo last night, but whatever. I liked the phrase from Tyler Breeze, "Book 'em, Dango."
"Book 'em, Dango" was great, and didn't that stacked promo more than any in the past that I can remember really separated the men from the boys on the microphone? I mean, like you had New Day is A+ stuff.
By the way,
I know I'm on another island when I say I think the Usos aren't terrible. They're like C+ stuff. Breezango at this point, they're solid B's on the mic for me.
Oh, if not
and then
more.
the Colognes
they're doing
come
perfect.
out. And then the Colognes come out, and I feel like I'm watching a show at the War Memorial in Johnstown. They're terrible.
Yeah. I don't agree with you on Usos. I'm not feeling their mic work yet. They're getting there. I feel like I do feel like they're showing progress, but they're still not, like, every time they trade off, which they seem to do every promo, I feel like that's corny.
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's getting better. I think you're right there. They're improving, and I think they fit their character, and I think that they're getting into it, and I hope that it at some point gels for them, because it's much better than the cheesy Samoan paint your face and play in the paint type stuff.
Yeah,
it's working for them better. But my point to all of this is Breezango and New Day, they're elevated, and the Colognes have no right to even be there.
And then I'm so confused, unless there's something I'm not aware of keeping American Alpha off TV. They just feel like they belong in this feud. Like, SmackDown's kind of showing some sort of life with their tag division. And then where is probably the best team among all of them?
Something had to have happened. There's got to be something going on. Didn't I hear somebody got married? I don't know what's happening.
Okay, so how many months of a honeymoon do you get?
I don't know. I mean, it depends what kind of contract you work out. I think they'd want to be on TV before people forget about them.
Yeah, I can't. I'm sorry. Like, I'll give you a week or two with the marriage, but it's been months since they dropped the title to the Usos. Yeah. So there was that. I wanted to mention a few things. So I'm getting a real Hell in the Cell kind of vibe from the way they're promoting this ladder match. What I mean by that is, I think it's cool that they're having a female Money in the Bank ladder match. I do. I think it's cool. But just like I thought it was cool that they put women in a Hell in a Cell for the first time. But I really feel like it's really weird how much, like, I guess, like I said before, I'm not the kind of guy that thinks that women can't do things that men can do. It's just really weird that, like, guess what? They're going to be climbing a ladder and they're girls.
I think that I don't think it's that as much as the WWE can't stop patting themselves on the back
Maybe that's it.
For finally not being misogynists, for finally not being sexist. They're like, we finally come to the party where you know what, America? Guess what? We don't think that we don't think women can just do bikinis and mud wrestling. Yeah, we're going to give them real matches and treat them like humans. Yeah, they can be athletes. Did you know that? Yeah, guess what? We've known that forever. The Olympics has known it forever. People know that women can be athletic. You're late to the party, Vince. And they're just patting themselves on the back all the time. And that's where my frustration comes in. It was kind of like, this isn't Hell in the Cell level, because they don't have Mick Foley yelling at them, warning them how dangerous it's going to be 5 minutes after he's congratulating the guys for doing it. It's weird. That was weird.
Yeah, it's almost like WWE, like, it's almost like women are equal. It's weird.
Almost.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm not the kind of guy that sees it as any different. It was almost like when I'm sure you weren't watching, like, in the early 2000s when Ernie Ladd went into, like, the Hall of Fame, and Ernie Ladd was going through, like, Ernie Ladd, it was like everything he accomplished, every kudos they gave him, I should say, was being the first black blank. And it was just like, he accomplished all this stuff and he was black. And I'm over here. It's like, I mean, maybe I was, because I was raised in a later era, but I'm like, he did all these things and that's great. But I don't, to me, it's like, it's the same thing. Where was the first white guy to do this? You know, like, that's my thing. It's like, it's the same thing for us.
Well, with the first black anything, I think that they get revered so much, and they should be, because they had to overcome directly, like, a lot of hurdles and a lot of racism and
absolutely.
You know, the women now aren't the women that dealt with the real nonsense in pro wrestling are like the Fabulous Moolah, and those ladies are the ones that were really treated in a sexist, misogynistic time. But the 90s weren't great for women and divas and all that stuff either, because they were treated like sluts and they were treated like objects. And now they're like, well, we want to wrestle too, and we're good at it. And sometimes they're better than the guys. I don't know what it means, but my son is more excited to watch the women's Money in the Bank, my kids both are, than the men. I don't know why. I think it's going to be a worse match, but
I think it's going to be tough. I really do. I hate to say that, but just with the talent involved, you could put 6 women in a ladder match that could be awesome, but it's not these 6 women, unfortunately.
No, you'd need to go back in time, not do the brand split, and take a couple of them from Raw and a couple of them from SmackDown Live, and now you have your ladder match.
Yeah. So, but with these 6 women, and then it's like, it's so goofy because, like, listen to this logic. We kind of brushed upon it with the last SmackDown review, and I saw it come up in the post show, but it's like, so Lana debuts, and Shane McMahon's logic for not putting her in the ladder match is you're untested, you're unproven, you don't deserve to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Instead, we're going to put you in the title match.
Right. We're going to give you a direct title shot that all these other women are going to kill themselves to get. How
screwed up is that booking?
Every time every time Shane McMahon's on TV, stupidity happens anymore. It just does. It just does. I can't remember the last time Shane McMahon comes out and is part of something that isn't stupid.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just really flawed booking. How can you bypass the ladder match and just give her a title match when you say she's not ready for the ladder match? It's just so weird.
Yeah.
So
and last night Lana knows a move and everybody goes crazy. Lana does a move. Lana's got a finisher. Oh boy.
I hate to write her off. I'm not expecting much from her wrestling career. I don't want her to go away. I just think that she was being used appropriately as Rusev's valet, personally.
Do you think they're ever going to pull a Kofi Kingston and just drop the accent and not tell anybody?
Yes. I'm surprised it didn't happen this time, but I do think it will happen.
I thought for sure it was going to happen this time. I don't know why it didn't. That would have been the best time to do it. She'd been off TV for about 4 months, and Rusev's nowhere in sight right now.
Yeah, well, he's at least hurt, I think. He's ready to come back, but they're making sure he gets used appropriately.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention Sami Zayn again real quick. You were talking about how funny he was with the strategizing promo.
Yeah.
The funniest thing about Sami Zayn last night actually happened during the Fashion Files. Did you catch it?
Needs a mask.
No, but it was, well, that
plus, makes me laugh. Everything needs a mask.
Well, it was the word generic needs a mask. Do you get that? Do you get the reference there?
I don't get the generic part.
Okay,
no.
So there's a picture of Sami Zayn that says generic needs a mask. In the Independents, he made a huge name for himself under the name El Generico.
Oh.
And he was under a mask.
So it's even funnier. I just thought they were making fun of him for being ugly.
No, yeah. Well, he used to wrestle under the name El Generico. And I guess his gimmick kind of was that he was a little generic, at least as far as like he was a mask guy goes. And that was just a great inside joke that I didn't know if everyone would catch that or not, but that's why they use the word generic when describing Sami Zayn.
I think it's one of those jokes where like you can either take it the right way, the way you took it, or if you don't know it 100%, you just take it the way I did, and it's still funny. I mean, that's good comedy right there, where it can appeal to everybody.
Yeah, like Brittany, she watched one where there was a picture of Shinsuke Nakamura, and it said "no style," and I was like, the funny thing is, you don't even get why that's funny, because he's the king of strong style, and they went with no style. So there was that, and then I want to talk about Jinder Mahal for a second. And
I want to preface this by saying, Rob, I hate when we argue, but I feel like we're about to argue.
We might not be. Let me share my thoughts with you, and then we'll talk about it. So the segment last night was, I'll just say it was fine. It was an RKO out of nowhere. It was effective. So I don't know exactly how much I've talked about Jinder in the past, where I believe what my thoughts have been are that I'm cool with him being champion. I wasn't cool with the way they did it. And
we all agreed on that they could have pushed him a little more organically. They could have fast-tracked it, but they didn't have to like fast-track it out of nowhere.
Yeah,
like he never wins a match, and now all of a sudden he's winning all the matches.
That was my biggest complaint, and still is. I'm not gonna change my mind on that point. And I've also said that I don't think he's a great worker. I also don't think he's a bad worker, and I do prefer my champions to be good workers, but that's not the important thing. And the person who kind of is prompting this thought process of mine is a podcast I was listening to from Vince Russo. And Vince Russo, it's very important to make the distinction that Vince Russo has a unique take on championships. And there is, I'll say, the traditional mentality that the championship is a very